The Jets fell short on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals 27-12 in a game that really never felt like it was theirs, but had plenty of opportunities to make it theirs. Before we get into it, I would ask that you subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this video at any point, and let's get into it. So, looking at this game, the Jets gave up 27 points to the Bengals, the defending AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bengals that had not won a game yet, but have a lot of talent and felt a little fluky that they didn't have a win at this point in the season. They gave up 27 points, 330 yards, and 5 yards per play against the Cincinnati Bengals. And in addition to that, they gave up 7 out of 14 third down conversions to the Bengals. You have to be able to stop Joe Burrow and company, and if you can't do that on third down, it's going to be a long day. The Jets got them to a lot of third downs, 14 to be exact, and they were able to come away half the time with a first down. They were actually 0 for 1 on one fourth down attempt. The Jets snuffed it out. But at the end of the day, the Jets defense did not show up. The defense that we saw against the Baltimore Ravens week 1 has yet to show up since. In addition to that, the offense really has been sporadic. And we look at the Browns game as a little bit of a glimmer of hope, but they didn't really bring that offense to this game. The Bengals had the ball for over 32 minutes, and it definitely led to a tired defense being unable to stop the Bengals moving onward in the game. I thought things that stood out to me on the defensive side, you have to give credit where credit's due. The rookie Jermaine Johnson III continues to flash. He had 3 defensive stops to go with his 4 tackles in this game. No pressures or anything like that, but I just like the way he moves towards the ball. He moves very well in space. So I liked seeing that. I figured I would highlight him in this video. Quinnen Williams and Carl Lawson each had 4 pressures in this game and continue to play off that momentum. Very good talents in their own right, although Quinnen Williams got into a little bit of a yelling match with the coach on the sideline. I don't think too much of it. I think it's just football. At the end of the day, you're going to have those things on the sideline. They're not always televised, so I'm not going to look too much into that. I know there were some people making a big deal. Not really worried, but definitely something to mention. But the guy I have to give credit to is Sheldon Rankins, who came away with 2 sacks on the day, showed a lot of pressure up the middle, and Joe Burrow did not see him coming. At one point, he grabbed his legs, brought him down to the ground. It looked like Joe Burrow was in shock and maybe in some pain. Sheldon Rankins has really played pretty well so far, I think, in this season, and has been a little bit of a surprise in my opinion. I wasn't expecting him to come out as strong as he has. Definitely not getting 2 sacks in this game, but we'll see as he moves forward. Only 3 weeks have been played so far. As for John Franklin Myers, who I think is one of the best players on this team, I've been on record saying that he didn't have the best day, didn't have a pressure, didn't log a tackle. He basically didn't really have anything in the stat sheet, but he did have a very costly penalty that forced a third down stop into an automatic first down due to a frustration roughing the passer call. Michael Carter II had a rough day in coverage. He gave up 75 yards and 5 receptions on all 5 targets. He gave up a touchdown, a long touchdown. Not a great day for Michael Carter. Sauce Gardner really felt like the highlight of the secondary. He gave up 2 catches on 5 attempts for 51 yards. He only gave up 7 yards after the catch and had 2 pass breakups. The young first-round corner has continued to show and display why they drafted him and the overall potential. I think this guy has a chance to become an absolute superstar. I've said it all year, and I really believe that. Look out for Sauce Gardner. He continues to shine week in and week out against some of the best. This was a big test, and he definitely was up for the billing. We move on to the offensive line, which was not very good. George Fant was taken out of this game due to a knee injury he has been dealing with. He gave up 2 sacks in this one. But we didn't end there. Connor McDermott, AVT, and Connor McGovern all gave up sacks in this game. The Jets ended up giving up 5 total sacks to Flacco and 22 pressures. It's hard to win any game when your quarterback is pressured 22 times and sacked 5 times, but it's definitely hard when you're going up against the reigning AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals. Breece Hall continues to separate himself from Michael Carter, the running back, and I'll just say this right now. I think Michael Carter is a great complementary piece, but Breece Hall should have been been the guy from the get-go. When you look at the way he was running in camp and just what he brings to the table, it's hard to see why this guy went from he's clearly going to be the number one to he was behind and basically riding the coattails of Michael Carter. He just had a 92 yard from scrimmage game, and I think he can really build off that, and he's really going to be maximized when Zach Wilson comes back. Speaking of rookies that are showing out, the Jets are getting a lot of contribution from their rookies, but nobody like Garrett Wilson. Wilson has been outstanding since joining the Jets, and in this game, he caught 6 catches on 7 targets for 60 yards after coming back from what looked like a serious rib injury at the moment, and he was able to come back in the game and still contribute. Garrett Wilson changes the way that you can defend these receivers. He really opens up another dynamic for this offense based on his yards after the catch ability. So I think the Jets obviously love having that with Flacco, and just seeing that Flacco trusts him that much early on shows you this guy's played around a lot of talent, and at 37 years old, he's still going to the rookie. Not Corey Davis, not Elijah Moore. It's been the rookie that has been heavily targeted. I cannot wait to see Garrett Wilson teamed up with Zach Wilson as this season moves on, because I think that's going to be a very good combination moving forward. The big story, however, in the receiving game was not necessarily a wide receiver, but a tight end. That's right, Tyler Conklin had his coming out party, 8 out of 8 for 84 yards. He was targeted 8 times by Flacco. He caught all 8, had 84 yards. For you fantasy players out there, if you have not picked him up, I don't know what you're doing. For you Jets fans out there, if you think that CJ Uzomah is the better option, well, I think this game showed you that he is not the better option than Tyler Conklin. Conklin is simply the better tight end. He's definitely the better receiving tight end, and he made his presence known in this game. I cannot wait to see how he emerges and his role continues to be even greater moving forward. But you got to keep targeting him. You got to keep getting him the ball, because he's not a fluke. He can make moves in space. He's got the body type to break tackles, and he's got smooth hands. He's a smooth route runner. I think he can really help you moving forward, and he can be that safety net for Zach Wilson when he comes back. In conclusion, the Jets really didn't show up at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. They lost 27-12 in a game that, like I said, I felt like they absolutely had every opportunity to win. Whether it was a stupid penalty by Corey Davis or a sack or a missed read or an interception, the Jets continued to shoot themselves in the foot, and at the end of the day, it was too much to overcome. They were at home, they had an opportunity, and they lost. But now, Zach Wilson will likely be back next game. They'll be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I really like their chances in that game. I do think they're going to win that game. I think they need to get Zach Wilson back ASAP. It's not necessarily that Flacco has been terrible, because you look at the stats, and you get that of a backup quarterback. Most of the time, you're going to win football games, or at least feel good about them. However, they have an issue at offensive line right now. We already know about Mekhi Becton. Dwayne Brown is injured. And in addition to that, now George Fant is going through issues. You have Max Mitchell, you have Connor McDermott, whoever is just being thrown in there to start. And so that is probably not going to be ideal for a quarterback that simply does not have any mobility anymore. Joe Flacco never really had mobility. So now he really can't move, and it becomes really tough. That's why he took 5 sacks. Zach Wilson back there can move around. He can make plays with his legs. He can improvise. He can create opportunities. So I think it's going to really bode well for the Jets, because Zach Wilson can make things happen that just simply aren't there. He's going to be alive long enough to make a play, and now that he has guys like Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore that can improvise on the fly, it's going to play into him very, very well. I also think, again, Tyler Conklin is not just a fluke. He's not just doing this with Flacco. I think he's going to have the same type of success with Zach Wilson. The way I see it, this is a perfect game for the Jets to get back on the high side, go 2-2, and hit 500. And then finish this AFC North gauntlet. It's been a tough one. Going up against the Browns, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Steelers all in the first 4 weeks is not easy. This is a good division. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is a good division. However, I do think the Jets have an opportunity here. They're going up against the Steelers defense. It's very good and could pose a threat. But when you look at the other side here, as great as this Steelers defense is, and first off, TJ Watt is out. So that's the first thing you want to say. But the second thing is, as great as the defense is, you look at the offense, And you can't really be too excited about the offense if you're a Steelers fan. The offensive line hasn't been very good on Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky hasn't been good on Mitch Trubisky. And while they have all those weapons, there hasn't really been much creativity with the offense. It does not have an identity. They haven't been able to run the ball with Najee Harris, and it hasn't really set up anything. So I think this is a good opportunity for the Jets. I think they can get after Mitch Trubisky, force him into some turnovers. He's played pretty mistake-free football this year for the most part. So I think the Jets can get him, force him into some turnovers, get the pressure on him, maybe force a strip sack or an interception or whatever, steal some possessions, and then let Zach Wilson and let Breece Hall and let Garrett Wilson, let your best players, your skill players go off. And I do think the Jets can win an ugly game in Pittsburgh on the road. They've already won on the road. They had to come back by 2 possessions, but they did win on the road. I think the Jets can do that again. And so I do have them winning next week. I think they'll move to 2-2. I think this game, you just you take it for what it is. They're not the team that, they want to be, but first 3 weeks doesn't tell you anything. They can be a completely different team moving forward. That was a big win against the Browns to avoid going 0-3, and now they can take advantage of that, beat the Steelers, and you're 2-2 out of this gauntlet. And while the road is definitely tough, they can still win some games moving forward. So 2-2 is how I have it. This game wasn't great, but I did take some good things away from this game. There are some things to like. There are some things to absolutely despise. And the hope is that they just get it cleaned up. I think at the end of the day, Saleh is doing the right thing. I think that defense is going to eventually find its stride. And I think they have too much talent to have another bad year. So I do think that they're going to be competitive this year. And I think it starts getting back on the track. Now that they have their franchise quarterback, their starting quarterback under center, I think things will be different. And I do think they're going to beat the Steelers and move to 2-2. But that's what I have for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Jets can win this game next week? What did you think about this game? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks.